friends, well-wishers, comrades, both at home and abroad. Let us continue with our conversations, which we have called Straight Talk. Straight Talk originated with Dr. Chedi Jagan, the father of the nation, who wrote an article on a weekly basis in the Mirror newspaper entitled Straight Talk. In those articles, he would elucidate on economic problems, political problems, and social issues affecting Guyana after independence and before the PPPC came to government. He was a very prolific writer. And so, consistent with that legacy, we decided to continue speaking on issues that are not dissimilar from what Dr. Jagan spoke about or wrote about. Our country today is at the crossroads, and it stands at the crossroads as though it is not decided which direction it should go. Guyanese people are awaiting, both at home and abroad, the final rulings of the Caribbean Court of Justice. And it is this situation that arose from the no confidence motion in Parliament that has placed Guyana in the situation where it is right now, which is at the crossroads. The people of Guyana will soon have to decide the direction which they wish to proceed. Throughout the length and breadth of our country, Guyanese would be heard saying that, look, we need to get a change. Not an exchange, but a real change. That is, in their view, to have the PPPC back in office. For them, that is their own salvation, or that is their only salvation. Because people recollect, people have not forgotten the benefits that flowed to them with the people-centered policies of the PPP, of successive PPPC governments. Single parents benefited, working men, working women, youths, and children all benefited from these programs, progressive programs, forward-looking programs that were advanced by the People's Progressive Party civic governments. They want a return to that situation. All of that was removed or taken away from them by the APNU-AFC government, which today is now an illegal government, or in fact has been an illegal government since the passage of the no confidence motion. And more so since the Caribbean Court of Justice validated the no confidence motion and the numbers that majority is, that is the majority that led to the passage of the no confidence motion. The question therefore is, which way do we go? Which direction do we take? And for many people, I would say for the overwhelming majority of people in our country, people want the direction or a direction led by the People's Progressive Party Civic. The government in this country now is at a standstill. No decisions are being made, no initiatives are being taken, save and except those which were initiated by the PPP Civic. What they're doing is that they are plagiarizing from the PPP Civic policies and projects and working with that. This is what is called copycat politics. They have nothing original of their own to show. If it has to do with the modern airport, that has to do with the People's Progressive Party, with the PPPC government. If it has to do with new roads that are opening up, that has to do with the PPP government. Hotels, tourism, education, in every sector, it was the PPP that initiated those projects, even in the agricultural sector. So the copycat politics that is being practiced by the current administration, they're running out of steam. And with elections soon to be held in our country, Guyanese will have the final say. They are what we might call the jury. The jury which makes the decision which is either to go forward or to go backward. We've already gone backward. And therefore, the process now is to move forward. Businesses, large and small, that is to say, in the business community, in the commercial enterprises, are all complaining. Not many containers with imports are coming into the country, as was in the past. People are complaining that money is not circulating down to the man on the street. So it's not only members of the business community that are feeling the pinch, it's also the man on the street. So the salvation rests with the People's Progressive Party civic administration. We are also, apart from the political situation which is characterized by the impending decisions or ruling at the Caribbean Court of Justice, and incidentally, we must not lose faith, because it was as a result of the passage of the no confidence motion that 4 government ministers had to resign in the National Assembly and from the ministerial posts. In addition to that, the chairman of GCOM, which we had condemned such a long time ago, was forced to resign after he was declared by the CCJ as unconstitutionally positioned in that body. Mr. Granger, the president of this country, could have avoided the embarrassment in the parliament when members of parliament from the PPP came with placards and denounced his unilateral appointment of Mr. Patterson to the chairmanship of GCOM. Now the court has directed that Mr. Patterson must go. And thus his resignation, or in fact, it was the court that resigned him. He just walked out the job, knowing that he was squatting in that body. So now the opposition leader and the president has to get together to talk and have consultations on the question of a new chairman. Now we know that the ruling APNU-AFC will try their utmost to delay that process, because they have all kinds of tricks in the bags. And that is why it is necessary, as the opposition leader pointed out, to establish strict timelines for the finalization or for agreement to be reached on these very important matters. Names will soon be submitted to Mr. Granger for consideration. And in the process of consultation within a given time frame, it is expected that the country will have a new chairman of GCOM. That doesn't mean to say that the problem will be over. New hurdles will have to be crossed, including the GCOM machinery, which we know sometimes create difficulties for the electoral process in Guyana. The whole question of the house-to-house registration and the question of a new voters list or the utilization of the current voters list. All these are hurdles that have been put in the pathway of the opposition before they can reach a free and fair elections. What is good, however, is that the international community, the diplomatic community, and the donor community are keeping a watchful eye on the process. This is indeed a healthy sign. It is unfortunate that every time, every 5 years, or even sometimes less, when we go to elections, we have situations of the type that we're experiencing right now. My friends, the situation in Guyana is further compounded with the crime developments on the security front. Crime. People in Guyana, people outside of Guyana, are very concerned about the crime situation. Now, we don't expect this government to admit that the crime situation has deteriorated significantly ever since they came into office. They will, of course, seek to use the government machinery and propaganda such as the Chronicle, etc., to boast and to big up themselves, so to speak, seeking to convince the population and Guyanese abroad that the crime situation is under control. But how can this be when every time you open the newspapers, you go on the internet, you talk to people, people are always very depressed when it comes to the situation in respect to crime in Guyana. It is not only a question of big crimes. It's white-collar crimes. It's the corruption. It's the small crimes or criminal activities that are committed around the city of Georgetown, especially, for example, at the Starbuck Market Square, where cell phones are snatched, people are robbed willy-nilly, and houses broken into, larceny of property, and a tremendous sense of insecurity prevails in the country. Recently, a senior policeman in the higher echelons of the Guyana Police Force has been called out for his alleged association with criminal enterprise in Berbice on the quarantine. This is the most devastating. And it again exposes the fact that people have been talking about all the time, about certain policemen being in bed with criminal activities or with criminals in the country. Now, investigations are taking place in respect to this matter. But another surprising move that the government made was to bring back a police rank who was out of the force for almost 12 years and he has now been catapulted into the position he was before he was out of service of that organization. The point I'd like to make in this question is that there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty on the political front, where we don't know as yet what the court will rule in respect to the no confidence motion and the consequences of this no confidence motion and the orders that the court will make. So there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty in that area. There's also uncertainty in the business community. They're not making decisions until the political uncertainties are settled, and quite justifiably so, because no one wants to invest or expand their business in a situation of political uncertainty. There's also uncertainty in the area of crime. No one knows who will be the next victim. No one knows whose house will be attacked on the next occasion. So this uncertainty, this atmosphere, this environment of uncertainty pervades the entire nation. Now let me make it very clear. This is not something that we are happy about. It's not something that I am happy about. And I don't think this is something that any Guyanese is happy about. No one likes uncertainty. Working people, they don't like uncertainty. They like to know they go to work, they earn their salary, they earn their wages, they know what's coming next, they know what to prepare for, and things like that. The young people also like an atmosphere of certainty. So, this is not something that we, or that speaking for myself personally, are happy about. No Guyanese is happy about uncertainty in their lives. Of course, there are a number of things which we cannot control, that are beyond our control. But since we live here, and those of you who live abroad have family, business, and other connections in Guyana, and those who live here, who pay taxes, who make contributions in their daily lives to either the growth of the economy, either in the services sector, the trade sector, the commercial sector, or whatever, they have a vested interest in ensuring that they live a life that is characterized by a high degree of certainty. This can only happen with a change of government. The present administration has proven themselves incapable of creating that atmosphere of certainty in our country. And notwithstanding all the talk and the promises they are making now in preparation for elections, and also in preparation for forced oil, that is to say, that with oil will come prosperity, that with oil everyone will benefit in Guyana. We can't take that for granted. Because when we look at other countries who are oil producing nations, we see that notwithstanding the fact that you may have either gas, natural gas, or petroleum reserves, many of these countries are experiencing crises, as well as the people have not benefited from the profits that flow from the petroleum or gas industries. Take, for example, Trinidad and Tobago. Hundreds of workers have been dismissed in the petroleum sector and in the natural gas sector. They have serious problems over there. Look at Venezuela. Look at some of the African countries as well. So there's no certainty. Of course, we would wish every Guyanese wants to have prosperity in their personal, family, and professional life with the advent of oil in our country. But it all depends on who is in the government. It's not so much a question of we have oil. The question is who is in the government, which party is in the government. And we have already seen the performance of this government, that is to say, the Granger administration, utilizing resources that is to be paid back to many of the oil companies in this country, which Guyanese have not benefited from. So the key question is, who will be administering the country when Guyana effectively becomes an oil-producing nation? The answer to that lies in the elections that is to be held, hopefully in the next 3 months, as the opposition leader is pressing for. And as the people of Guyana, majority of people are in favor. Why are they in favor of elections in 3 months? Naturally, because they want to see the back of this administration. They're not benefiting anything from this administration. So, the people, generally speaking, are anxiously awaiting, and I come back to that question because this is the question that is at the top of the head or the top of the minds of every Guyanese. Free and fair elections, a new administration in which the People Progressive Party would be a central point in that government. So that is the bottom line to all the issues that are confronting us. The uncertainty, as I pointed out earlier, in the economic, social, and political sphere, as well as the change of administration that will bring progress and prosperity to the people of our country and our country as a whole. We therefore have to keep the faith. We cannot give up. Hope is something that we have to hold on to. Not passively, but actively. We cannot sit and just wait for things to happen. Political struggle is required. Each and every one of us have to play a role. And I believe that we can and will play a role in whatever way, a modest role, a huge role, whatever role we can play in order to bring this change to our country. Political change with a new government based on peace, progress, and prosperity. Let us continue the discussion on these matters. Let us continue the dialogue on these matters. Let us not give up hope. Let us continue to struggle and work as hard as we can, in whatever way we can, to bring about the change that all Guyanese desire. And that change must be with a PPPC in office. Thank you very much.